Okay, so it's 5:30 in the morning, and it seems like the main thing, it seems like the main thing happening in uh, social media is the Blake Lively thing, and it has so much stuff that I was like, okay, I'm going to talk some about this because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, um, on like lots of different levels. Like on a certain level, it is kind of trips me out because I had just been saying like a couple months ago, I don't remember when I was saying it, but I know I was saying that there's something weird about them, especially because, um, she was one of the celebrities that was speaking out against the crimes against the babies. And because there was a lot of people before, I don't know now, but before there was a lot of people that were sharing that video. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's another weird thing too, because a lot of people are commenting. But it's so weird because like people can't stop themselves. Like this is to expose you to you, and some is going to be so dramatic because she has spoken out on some big issues before because but it was to a woman's group, I think, looking for money. That's probably, maybe it's something about that. Just trying to get money from people for causes that it really funds the cause. Like you're paying the people to keep it going. They pretend like they hire a three letter agency, or they create a three-letter agency to pretend like it's after the group through this funding, but legit, that's the facade, and you're actually funding the crime. So I don't know. It seems to be that's the way it is. But so she had spoken out, but I was saying that it didn't seem legit because, and it was an older video. Like this, I think I saw this around 2020. I know over the few years I've been doing this, I've brought it up a couple times, but I had just talked about it the other day, and or a couple months ago. And I was saying that, so she was speaking out on it, and that is where I had heard about uh, that thing, and that's probably why I was talking about it, was the thing that costs the most money. Like if you're a rich person, you want to pay for the most despicable thing you can think of, and they've named it, like it's a service that you can buy, and I think it's like 150, or used to be 150K. Okay. That's disturbing. Okay. So some of these people who are all on the dark web, who see some of this stuff, who find out about some of this stuff, well, they don't have 150K to drop on it. So they get girlfriends and do it to their little babies. So that is how this ripples out. And there's so much of that at the surface right now. So many of these crimes with these guys. I mean, there's a big one I forgot yesterday I wanted to say about another guy who just got busted for bestiality on his girlfriend's dog. You know, it was the whole scene is so, because she had older teenage daughters or something, and she kept having stuff go missing, so she put a camera in her room, and then for some reason her daughter was looking at the camera. I was thinking, do you and your husband ever do it, or your boyfriend ever do it? Like you got a camera like right there, like, and everybody has access. Like that's strange. So the daughter is watching the video, and this boyfriend, stepdad guy, goes in to the bedroom, gets the dog in the bed, laid out. Like then he stands there, takes his stuff off, puts a lube on. It's like. Then he gets in there and goes to Pound Town, and It's all on video. The daughter calls the mom calls the cops get the video, so the guy's in, and there's a whole shebanging that he's in trouble for. So, and and they showed his mugshot thing or whatever, and he just looks like a regular guy. You do not, like, people, oh god, it's just bringing in a bunch of stories too with these girls going out with these guys. Oh, well, he looks good. Well, he's a cannibal. So, like, he's taking you out because he wants to chow you down. Like, there's, like, that's going on. So much of this, yeah, this crimes against dogs. Like, there's a big thing going on in Turkey, man. What is so crazy, like I've said, about this stuff coming to the surface all over, and everything out there is to make us look at things through a certain lens, and we're increasing the lens. It's like being at the eye doctor. Is how's this one? How's this one? How's this one? And so you just keep seeing more and more and more. And so in Turkey, which to me, the videos I had seen were so fucking cool because the stray dogs were all taken care of by the people in the communities. And you could go in stores and stuff, and there'd be just dogs and cats just laying around, and people would pet them and feed them. Like, it was just this really cool harmony with the unhomed pets, unhomed animals that have been domesticated for so long that they don't really know how to survive out in the wild. And which I didn't ever finish saying about that too. Gosh dang, it does pile up. God damn, there's a lot of shit. It just keeps piling and gets like further from where I was. Okay, bug. Okay, because the girl who was saying about her dog, no way was a wolf or whatever, and I was just like, well, uh, we have domesticated these animals for so long, you know? Oh, yeah, because then the feral people, yeah, I was just seeing a thing about that, and how those people, like how long it takes for somebody to become feral. Because they said that those people went up into the mountains more when the government was in there trying to take the land and stuff. So, what is that, like 150 years or so? These people have been up living in the mountains, and they are like those people from Wrong Turn, if you've ever seen those. Like, I knew those people. There's a bunch of those kinds of movies. They show these feral people that live out into places where, we don't live. Like, because they've shown them out in desert mountains too, in like caves and stuff, and then also in the forests, in the mountains, and they go deeper in and stuff. So, and they're cannibalistic. And there's a guy who does these, I don't know, forest stories or whatever. And I was just listening. He keeps coming across my thing. And this one he was just doing was this park ranger, and it was from the 80s. A lot of them are from the 70s and 80s. But all the different people who have seen the feral people who've been out there and had interactions, which are totally, totally scary. Like, there's one that was really, really scary because the people were driving at night, and they were trying to get somewhere, and they weren't familiar with the area, and they took a wrong turn, and then they were surrounded by them, and it was those weird mountain roads. It probably was a logging road or something, and they're very narrow, and their side goes down. That's what happened to my Jeep, how it flipped down the mountain. I wasn't the driver at the time. I wasn't even in the vehicle. I was number 3, who even knows what the fuck. You're supposed to drive down to the end of the driveway and shut the gate, and then all of a sudden we have the other girl's husband limping back. Oh, he drove us off the mountain. It was a whole fucking thing. But anyway, it's just fucking bullshit. I swear to God. That turned into such a... but that is... man, I got a lot of things. Okay. So... anyways, I'm not going to do the thing about the animal thing. But the people who are out there, these feral people who the thing that's weird to me is, so they go back into the woods to retreat from the government, and probably at the time it could have been probably soldiers and stuff. And so they were trying to take their land and everything. And that one girl who I had said a while ago was talking about that happened to her family, and that they used to own like the whole side of a mountain or something, and the government took it. Just like what they're doing all over the place. They've been doing it for a long time. So those people retreated back there, and they became more like animals. They became more feral. And then they started, at some point it becomes incestual, because their pool's not growing otherwise, whoever started having sex with whoever, because then they started having people that had like weird deformities and stuff like that. And but they all have these like weird, really long, stringy hair, and you can smell them. They smell like something dead because they never bathe and stuff. And I was thinking, it's so strange, because you'd think when they first went back there, it was farmers and stuff. And, why didn't they advance and, create communities and, how did it go so dark? And that in Wrong Turn 6 shows that too. Uh, the people, they try making the movie like it's Viking people or something, but it's been released and released over and over in the movies that there's all sorts of people, like all sorts of beings and stuff that live around us. It's all about these realities and experiences. It's like that's a separate reality, but it's like all of these realities are coming together. And see, that reality can play out in this density, that reality can play out in this density, that reality can play out in this density. So that's why I said it's like we're in this multiplex theater with all these different realities playing out. And you can watch, or you can get caught up in the drama. And in this time period, this getting caught up in the drama is to help people to see more clearly. And so on the okay, because it was something, and there's a bunch of things that are turning. Oh yeah. Okay, so on so people selling their kids, and they make money off of that, and Blake was talking about it, but Ryan was getting all these big blockbusters, which was like, okay, well, that's weird, because if you talk about something real, they're doing somebody. And so it's all about controlling the narrative. And so it's obviously controlled, but that is the vibe that I was getting from them. It's like, how are they getting, like, they seem like very much sellouts. And now there's so many people, like how they went up so hard on J-Lo, now it's so hard on Blake. And she is very diva-ish too. But it was good timing on Jennifer Aniston, because they just kind of jumped over her affair and went straight in on Blake. And people are outraged at her communication about such serious topics as domestic violence, and the fact that she tried to even make a domestic violence movie cutesy, and that make it all about the flowers and decor. And it's like, how can she be so cut off from reality? But it is easy for people to be cut off in their own reality. Like, I don't know if she's ever experienced any hardship ever, but you can see how that the people who have experienced hardships, who have gone through things, it makes them stronger. It makes them more resilient. It makes them more compassionate. It makes them more empathetic with people. It makes them, like, it gives you more. It builds your skills. And then when you see these people who've been living up on a cloud in their own little beautiful creation, and they surround themselves with people who are exactly like them, then they are cut off from, at this point, the majority of the people. It's like, you aren't one of us. You're making it clear you're not one of us. And so But so there's all these different angles. There's so many videos of people talking about all this different stuff. And so I didn't even realize like Deadpool in this movie, and then she's involved in producing this movie, and she made all these calls, and then she got this guy to play the abuser, and he was so uncomfortable playing a part like that. But I don't know, he must have wanted the part. He probably thought, you know, he scored big getting to work with her. And then she so but him and his personality, he is very kind. Like that's what everybody keeps talking about. He's got videos like on his social media where he is out trying to spread kindness and stuff to people, and he is loving and deep and stuff like that. So when the interview started, because they have to go, when a movie gets released, they have to go around and do some kind of talking to all these reporters, or I think a bunch of reporters come to them. I think they kind of like sit in a room or something, and a bunch of different reporters get to come in for 5 minutes and talk to them or something. And then maybe they have like, you know, that they do that in Chicago, and they do it in New York, and then they do it in St. Louis, you know, like I think they go around, called like a media junket or something, and they have to go around and promote their movie. It's probably part of the contract or whatever. So they were going and doing these promotions and stuff like that, and she was being just like a ditz, just like, and only wanting to talk about her, and not only her and her movie, but her husband's movie, and then comparing the two, and then talking about her new hairline that she's putting out. Like, it's so self-indulgent, and so much just about her, and that is what's really really irritating people. And then people keep showing these clips of these interviews, and she's, you know, rude to the people, to the interviewer. She's just so oblivious. She just so is so about her. And then her best friend's Taylor Swift. It's like, well, this girl is, you know, completely in her own world. Like, she just, you know, is in a world where, you know, she's what is all that matters or something. And um it was weird because, yeah, I was even a couple days ago or weeks ago or something, I was thinking about them, and I was thinking about um their babies, because I was just thinking about these Hollywood kids and what it, you know, when you're younger, you think like, oh man, how lucky you get born to rich, famous parents. But then as it goes on, then it's like, oh, what a fucking nightmare, man. And then some of them, they have to change their gender. Like that Shiloh, she doesn't go by Pitt anymore because she became 18. And so I was saying, that's like the Jennifer and Angelina thing was like 20 some years ago, that drama. But then Jennifer also, she had an affair with, because that one guy she married for a while, that was an affair, and that woman was speaking out about it. And so, I don't know. I think some of these people just don't really care about, they only care about their own needs or something. They don't think, you know, about somebody else's. And so, but that to me was confirmation of like, oh my God, now people keep showing these things with the two of them, and they are just like this, they're trying to promote themselves as like a Hollywood power couple or something. I don't know, maybe it's like these certain people who were funding things were trying to create these certain power couples, like Taylor and that sports guy, Ryan, you know, who's superhero movies or something, and Blake, and but you know, people don't like them. People like, people are turning again. Like, people are seeing through it. Like, people are disgusted. Like, they keep, and it's always this woulda, shoulda, coulda looking back. And people are like, I can't believe, like, was I oblivious to how she was before, or did she change? Because she had so much support from so many people. So many people liked her. She had gained a huge following from Gossip Girl, and then the traveling pants, the story of the traveling pants or whatever it's called. That then she had a huge following, like so many young girls. Like, she was a role model, and then she seemed kind of like quiet, kind of like she didn't seem so, I don't know, Hollywoodish. And then all of a sudden she got together with Ryan Reynolds, but he seemed kind of even a little bit low key. Like he didn't seem so, but then whatever. And then I don't know, you don't even know if these pairings are man made or something. And because John Travolta, like, yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff coming out about that, he's all the sexual assault stuff coming out on him is all with men. And then plus ones that come to like massage him. It's like, dude. Um, so he's, uh, so it probably always was that he was gay, and Kelly really was just like I don't know, an altar life because he had kids and stuff. But then you don't even know like if some of this stuff is in vitro, because like if you knew your husband was gay, like why? I mean that we've got an epidemic happening again. So yeah, you need to be. You can't just be thinking like everything's it's like this circles back in to get people to think, to get people to see. And um what was that one? Because it was like this one thing was showing, but then it's like this other thing now is making people see things differently. But there keeps being so many of these things, like that the break dancer girl, like that just gets more and more complex and more crazier and crazier too all the time. It's like, fuck, I don't even know. Like, who knows where it's all gonna end up. Oh yeah, because the thing is, like with Blake now, so she's getting so much backlash. So many people are talking shit on her. Now she's attacking she's throwing the other guy under the bus. But people have already been looking into him and seeing that he is a nice guy and that he's uncomfortable with how she's behaving. And so he doesn't want to go and do the things with her, these press junkets or something. Like there's a whole thing, but now she's coming out like with TMZ and these articles and stuff. Like she's going hard on him, saying that she didn't feel safe. He was fat shaming her, all this stuff. It's like, man, because people don't like you. So you're going to turn around instead of taking it on, taking it, humbling yourself and being like, oh, dang, I really was just thinking about like, oh, let's make this movie cute. Like maybe she was just thinking of it as girl power. She wasn't thinking about like all the girls that go through that and feel trapped and, don't know how to get themselves out of it. And, I was somebody, we can't compare because there's all different. I mean, we have everything in the gray from one pole to the next, and so all sorts of abuse and any abuse that happens to you that comes out of the blue, of course, is going to feel abusive. And so, but I mean, we know that there's some women who get the shit kicked out of them, and some women get killed. Some women are like, so it's all degrees, but it can still, all affect us. But the thing is it's all about us learning how to take care of ourselves, how to, man, this one thing that I keep wanting to say, it's driving me crazy. It's like knock, 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 knock. Because there was something, and I was like, it shows exactly like this other side that is being shown on this thing. Like everybody's looking at it one way, and then all of a sudden it turns, and then everybody has to look at it another way, and then they have to start thinking about, why did I look at it the other way? That's what this awakening thing is all about. It keeps getting people to look at things and then look at it from different perspectives and see it from all different perspectives. But a lot of people get really caught up in the drama. I think it's just, there's way too much drama. Like, fuck, how would you even pick? I'm just going all in on this one. I'm just, gonna ride this one out. But, like I said, I'm more like a hummingbird. I'm just zap around like, so however it plays out. It's all for this whole thing of playing out to show people, to get people to look at things and see things differently, and to see things in a deeper perspective. because people are so shallow and superficial. And so they have to be urged to look at it deeper. Oh yeah, okay, that's what it was. Okay, the dogs. Okay, so in Turkey, so it was this really cool, the videos I'd seen. I was like, man, that is so cool. That's what we need to do. We need to take it on as a community. And, we don't have to have them all come into our houses and live, but, we can put out food and stuff at night, um, and then we got to make changes. We got to, people got to heal and stop thinking that if they get this puppy or they get this baby, it's going to make them feel better. It's like, no, you just bought yourself a whole fucking set of challenges. And if you're already fragile, it's going to take the rest of you. It's going to just drain you. And that's where you get these people who have, losing their minds, doing horrific things. There was one horrific thing after another. So so now all of a sudden in Turkey, their, I don't know, the prime minister, president, whatever the fuck it is, he's decided that they're going to round up all the homeless all the homeless animals, and they're going to put them to death. And so the people are freaking the fuck out. And they are protesting, and people are just outraged. And they're going to take them to shelters and just euthanize them all. It's like, well, isn't that so funny? Because that's the way it's been here for how long? That's why I keep talking about. It's like fucking outrageous. And so that's what I was saying. It's like, then you realize, like, fuck, we've been doing that here for my whole life. My whole life, there's always been these places. And it's just like, so we just accepted it. We're just like, yeah, go ahead. They don't have a home, kill them. It's not my problem. I'm looking the other way. And so we all just, even though we were being distracted all the time with drama and work, get out there and work, be responsible. And so we were, lost in the fog. But still, I mean, we allowed this to occur. And now we're seeing it starting to occur somewhere else because, everything is bleeding out into everything else because it's these same people. Like I said, it was all these petri dishes. And so now they're starting to go in this direction that we've been taken a long while ago. And the people are disgusted. They're outraged. This isn't right. So see all the moral stuff. So all the people here who were all along for it, like, well, what are you going to do? Well, it's not my problem. This is why all this stuff is happening the way it's happening, is to bring things up. This year, it's so insane because there's all these rescuers who are doing these videos, and they're going in and trying to get the ones off they call it the youth list or something like that. So every day they put out a list that they're going to wipe out these certain dogs and puppies, mothers with puppies. It's just outrageous. You wouldn't believe the videos. But there keeps being videos of these girls coming on crying and showing the animals and saying, we tried to get them and they won't give them to us. They're just killing them. They're just killing them. Just killing them. And so, as I keep saying, we got to close the kill shelters. This has got to end. This isn't right. This is immoral. If I worked at one of those, God. And this is where it doesn't matter about taking orders. You have a soul. You have a overriding system. So taking orders just shows that you are not in connection with your system. Your system isn't fired up because I couldn't work at a place like that and then telling me go in and be a part of killing these animals and stuff. Hell no. I'm not going to be a part of their murder plot. No way. Like, that's a living being having its own experience, and I'm not going to be a part of the destruction of their experience. So I think that is, on a certain level, I think that's where things get out of balance and people build up bad karma, build up these entanglements with these different souls and stuff. And even though you have, your soul group, it's very complex. It is very convoluted. And it is also just like this, everything is just this bleed out of this movement. Like everything has a way that it's connected to everything else. So But it's also uh, it's so broad. But to see people here, they get so caught up in the, what is that, the minutia or something, the littlest, tiniest things. And you've got to be more in, the more, okay, okay, so in the visual thing, it is like being way up close, and you see things so differently. That's what like perspective. I'm showing this over and over in so many different kinds of things. But so then it's going way back, way back, way back. Then you start seeing the room. Then you see outside the door. Then you see so much more. So you don't want to be all focused on the littlest, smallest thing. That is where you drive yourself crazy. You got to keep stepping back and seeing the whole picture. Like I said, think things through more. Look at them. Look at the big picture. Like, don't just look at like what you want to do, but look at like, okay, so if I ran out there and did that could, like think outside of what your needs are, your impulses, your drive, because that makes the world bigger, and it makes you bigger. It makes you stronger. It makes you more, just like what I was saying with the feral people. Like, it's weird because how did they degrade? How did they go backwards? Why didn't they keep moving forward? I would say on a certain level, it's because it's not a society that is going to, it's okay, so it seems like, how I say, like, there's always all different people learning all different things. And so there was, people who learned certain things by these more primitive lifestyles. And just because those ones ended, there was still other ones that could be available for certain lessons and stuff. So, but it's not a sustainable climate. It's something that's, and it has an ending like that. That will be an ending in this stuff, because there's a lot of ending of ignorance, and it is like the epitome of ignorance. It hasn't moved forward, but it's become more violent and stuff. Like, they hunt people and eat them and stuff. Like, people go missing out there. And there's a lot of stuff about, well, it's feral people, but it can be, there's skin water. Like, there's like when you go out into the forest, the forest is its own world. It's like caves, like give me a panic attack when I see people. I can't even watch these videos. People going in caves. I don't know if I was in a past life, if I was in a cave or a mine or something that collapsed on me, but oh my Lord, it's like the same thing as, like, I can't watch the people who are up high. Like, fuck. That also, it makes me, in open water, those three things, the caves, open water, and whatever, the like open air or something, falling off of a cliff. All those things give me such anxiety. And you think, like, well, where would that come from? Like, those things haven't happened to you. I did fall off of a cliff once, and my friends had to save me, and my parents never knew. That always tripped me out, because I was so scared too. I was so scared, and we're all walking on this little cliff, and it was these what are those things called? There's like these big, huge, deep holes. But I think it was dug. It was this huge, deep hole. And we're walking on this cliff thing. I wish I could see it better, but I can't see it well. I'm way too closed in on the part where I was. But then it was that same thing like in a movie or something. Like, the ground gave out, and so I started to fall. And as I fell, I grabbed onto the side, and then my friends pulled me up. But and it's so crazy, how many things that we go out when we're kids. It's like, but when you do go out and you do all those and you survive them, it gives you a story. It gives you, your own book of your life. It's like, that's why it says like the symphony of your life is being written. And if you didn't have any, excitement, any thrills, chills, then it would just be kind of blah, kind of. So, I mean, it could be like a lullaby. Maybe it's just to put you to sleep or something. But, anyways, I think the dramatic symphony, it makes the most sense to me. So the dramas in our lives make sense to me because of the growth that occurs. Like I said, you can see this happening around us now. These people coming out that have not had the same kind of challenges, it hasn't been through much, and they're just like cut off from it makes them smaller, it makes them weaker, it makes them more selfish. It's like all the things you don't want to be, it creates that hardship and challenges and all of those things. Those give you, um, uh, those make you stronger and resilient. Like I was saying, those develop you. You develop through these things, unless you let them beat you down. You just get depressed and you just crawl up in a ball and just want to give up. But you gotta, take your time of feeling sorry for yourself, and then you gotta pull yourself out of it. You can't just stay in that, you know, catatonic situation. What's gonna happen? And I know like a lot of people get into this catatonia or whatever, and I think they just go so much in their head. One thing too, like about that that autistic thing in the nonverbal. I've seen a bunch of these different ones, but I just saw one about, it was a little girl, and I think she was around 2 years old or something. She's nonverbal, and a lot of times they'll start hitting themselves in the head and stuff. They'll do like they call it self-harm or something, where they'll like start hitting their head and doing things like that. And so she, she couldn't talk or anything like that. So her mom decides to detox her. And she was doing the zeolite, and there's been so many kids on the zeolite that has started talking and stuff. Stopped doing all of those things, started talking, and it takes out like heavy metals and stuff, which that's what they keep saying. Like it's heavy on the lead, which it only gets worse. Like if it starts eating, confirmation, eating their brains up and stuff. So I would, definitely, any of these kids, everything, all the sicknesses and stuff, which I think that's kind of strange too. The plane that crashed, which was scary, and how many times we gotta watch this? I can't believe that the video after video, where now it's just a thing to just show people dying. It's like it used to not be like that. And there's just another video. I mean, there's so many. It's just so many videos. It's like, fuck, I don't want to sit and watch people, some fall on him and crush on him and stuff. Like, fuck. And, so but for there to be like 9 doctors, cancer doctors, like, I thought that was kind of, there's reason for everything. And there's so much, people talking about that. And, there was one guy who was saying that he did a video I just saw it yesterday. He said that he was overhearing somebody talking, and and he said that they were talking to their friend, and he said, yeah, his dad got diagnosed with the C and went to the hospital, and the next day was gone. And the other person was like, well, that happened to my uncle or whatever. And then this guy was saying, and that happened to a couple of people in my family. And he said, I think it's the thing, and that it's put in some kind of fast growing stuff. And that's the thing, is why people got detoxing. Oh man, I gotta get my daughter to do this. Like, and they get so freaked out. Like they think they're gonna have worms coming out and stuff, so they get so freaked. But anyways, the horse face is to me the way to go on that. The zeolite for the heavy metals and stuff, and then getting yourself on a routine, because like this, burdock root, moringa, I also have nettles, which I came up with a great system. I have a whole bunch of stuff in my leaf because I made a whole blend of my leaves. And then I put them in my little tea ball thing. And then in my little teapot, I put that in there. So then I always have that ready. So then with my powders, I can just mix the powders and you can drink those right quick. You don't have to let those seep. But so that little teapot worked out so good. Oh, and I tried on my new dress yesterday, and I think it's one of my favorite dresses. I was just like, oh my gosh. And then my the t-shirt got out of the laundry, and I put that on. I was like, oh my God, I love this. Like, I could see why it was beckoning me, and it was so weird how the dress and the shirt both were backless, because that's all the things that I had in my ThredUp cart. So I was looking at them, I was like, oh, do I want to buy these? And I just kept feeling this beckoning me to the thrift store. And so I was like, I should go to the thrift store before I get these and just see if there's something, because I feel like this strong call to me. And and Free People, if you don't know, is expensive brand. It's like their dresses are like $100, and they and so when you get them, like, as I'll get some of the stuff at ThredUp, I have gotten some dresses that are Free People, and they're always like 40, 50 bucks to buy them used. And if you could buy one for like 20 bucks, it was like, dang, I can't believe it. But this one, so for me to be able to get it for whatever, $8 or something, $8 or $9, I was like, oh my gosh. And I swear I don't think it was ever even worn. And it is so cute, and I like it so much. But anyways, that's where you gotta just listen to your guides. You gotta listen to your guidance. But anyways, there's people who are being so outraged on the topic of DV, and it's so complicated to me because, you know, because I know when I was in this situation, you do feel like you don't know what to do, and you do feel trapped. That was when I would sit and cry and say to my guys, like, how can you forsaken me? How do you leave me here? Like, why was I led to this? Like, why did I think this was going to be good? And I would get so frustrated and so um, confused. Like, it took me so long to see what was going on. And I kept going, with one bad relationship after another. Same violent attitude, same selfish stuff, the same wanting to control me. And one of the husbands, though, was more financially stable than the rest. The rest were just like bloodsuckers. But the one has been like that I raised the kids with. Yeah, that wasn't a problem. The other ones, they were just like, you know. So that also, because this is a thing too, is there's guys that target successful women who are doing well, because they just want, a free ride. So there's guys out there, that target that. There's lots of girls, lots of women who have get good jobs, end up being with guys that they are, and then women get into this thing of like, well, I'm I'm it's like this balance that was created, this way that was created, but it's like this women's lib kind of mentality or something, like, well, I can be the breadwinner, I can do it, I can, it's okay. But then things become more and more out of balance. It's like it's bigger than just that. There's more than that's just a symptom. So you have to be able to um I don't know. To me, it's like, I mean, I have a different attitude now, because now to me, it's like, well, like, I know who my match is. And so it's just like, well, I'm just going to wait until we run across each other because there's nothing that, once you know who your match is and you can see how well you are matched, it's like, why would I want anything other than that? And so, and it was shown to me for a reason. I mean, I didn't just come up with it. And so, I mean, it's so funny because it's so vast out there. How would you just come up with stuff? To me, this stuff is told to me. But I don't know. There's other people, I guess, just come up with stuff. I don't know. But so, anyways, I have no interest of going out and seeing if there's somebody better than that. But except to me, like my view of things is very different because back then I looked at it different, and I was very much like about, if somebody came to me, then that was the universe bringing them to me. Like that was, okay, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to be with. This is where I'm supposed to be going. And so I, and that's why I said I would be like, oh, why did you forsaken me? What am I doing here? What the fuck? How do I just go from one fucked up relationship to another? And I was so frustrated. I was so like, and then, you only have hope thinking like, okay, well, I get out of this one, finally get rid of this one. And I got to figure out like, why do I keep going with these, same kind of people? And then, but it took 4, and then it took 1 leaving me, which that was like where, but I can see why it had to go the way it had to go, because that's what got my attention. It was really pretty cool, because it was so obvious to me when it happened. And I just kept seeing myself as like, I've been on this fucking merry-go-round going around and round and round and round and round for fucking decades now. And then all of a sudden he just pushed me off, and I fell off and I landed down on my knees, just like my knees are killing me like right now. But then I go down, and it was like I was hit hard. And it wasn't about the loss of him. It was about the cycle being broken. That's why I said it was like he did me a favor. Like that wasn't like a bad thing for me when he left me. It was the best thing that ever fucking happened. It was something I had a problem doing for myself. I just would think of the responsible things. Oh, well, I gotta be responsible. I can't just, lose another relationship, especially at some point, I'd be like, man, I'm the problem. Like, I'm the fucking problem. Like, I lose another one, and it's gonna be quite obvious to everybody. And so then but when I went down, and then I had to see, as how I started seeing the patterns and stuff, and everything started making sense. And I started understanding that the problem was always me. It was like my standard was way down here. It was like, oh, nice to me? Oh, okay, then you must like me. Okay, well, and I didn't like myself enough. It was like I kept looking for other people to like me enough to stomach myself, I guess. I'm not sure. But that's where I say, like, I can see the lessons. You're here to learn. You're here to learn to love yourself, because otherwise you surround yourself with people who don't treat you right. And that's common. Like, this isn't just a me thing. This is like a common thing. Like, I see this all the time. I see people talking. I see, these women beat down. There's so many of us that go and we just get so beat down. But it's also the men. They're also beat down. We're all beat down by each other. We're all trying to make things fit that don't fit. We're all trying to get something from somebody. And so we just create this really toxic environment. And that's why all these things keep blowing up more. The dating circuit, all these different things, is because it's just so fully developed in toxicity. It's not a healthy way to live. To me, it's way more, healthy to just be like, okay, well, I know who my person is, and the universe will take care of it. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is just, dodge the other one. But, anyways, it's just that now I look at it just differently. or is it more of a sense of desperation before? And, when I hear it in all these different people too, like people, feel like, well, I'm going to be alone forever. Well, why do we think these things? Why do we put these limits? We think, well, if I'm not married by now, I'm not going to ever be married. It's like we are the ones that are saying this. And then we got to question ourselves. Where's the rule written? Why is it that this is what we believe? How do we believe this and why do we believe it? And how can we change our belief system? How can we break this down? And what the main thing I wanted to say too is because people are being like they need support because women are feeling so fragile from coming from these broken relationships and stuff. But the thing is the broken relationship was there to teach you what's broken in you, and you are the one who has to fix it. Like the domestic violence situations are like an environment to show you what's broken, to show you where the problems are. And then there's some that it just gets caught up in this entanglement of playback. Like I said, there's like so many. You just go listen to past life regressions and see how many people get caught up in these traps of killing each other back and forth. They killed them in this life, then they killed them in this. They just go back and forth with these abuses, and that's why it's more important to me is that you stop and you think about your role, because that's the only thing you can change is you. You can't change this stuff. And when you are in a relationship where you are being pounded, like you got to be, and I know that there is some that are so severe where it's like, fuck, if I leave, I'm going to be murdered. And I know that one. Believe you me, that's a scary way to go. And, when they show up at your house and you can feel like I'm about to be my last moment of on this earth. And it's very scary, but everything is the way it's supposed to be. Everything is playing out exactly the way it's supposed to be. Like you can't. That's the thing, is you can't change the things that are playing out. You can change how you look at them. How you look at them is how the things start to change. So you're in this relationship that's based on violence and stuff. And it's, to me, the main thing is where you got to keep seeing, like, I deserve better than this. I deserve better than this. This person is broken and violent. They don't know how to manage themselves. They don't know how to manage their own anger. Because that's the thing, is it's all based on this, their own pain. The turmoil inside of them just bellows out. They can't control it because they're not healed. And and it's not gonna get better. That's the thing. It's not gonna get better. And the one, too, I had left like fucking 8 times. I started leaving him, I think, the first year we were married. It was like every year and a half, I left him. And then I was constantly trying to leave because it was very hard. It was very horrible those years. There was like there was good things too. Like there was fun things, going with the kids and to things. But sometimes when you're going through so many challenges, every other little thing is just more of a draw, just draining you more and more and more. Because in that period of time, that's when I had to go on antidepressants for the first time. And I was so fragile. All I thought about was trying to kill myself. I just wanted to drive off a mountain. I just was miserable. I was so miserable. And it's so crazy how you can get so much, like, you can't see beyond that. You can't see beyond it. It just seems like this is it. This is my life. How do I ever fucking get out of it? And for me, I think it was somebody. I got a job, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna get a job." And start working on trying to get the fuck out of here. And then my job is like $10 an hour, and he's like making 30. And I was like, fuck, this money is nothing. And then the jobs all sucked. I didn't have any experience really. I was medical assistant, an office manager, where you can't just walk back into those jobs. And then tattoo artists, you can't just walk back into those jobs either. And so I was like having to start over. And so um, I went and got a job at Home Depot. I think that lasted like 6 weeks or something. It was so sucky. It might have even only lasted a couple. It was definitely only a couple weeks. It was so sucky. And then I got a job at a lab. When I was working at the lab, that is when some girl that I must have talked to sometime, she was saying about going back to nursing school. She said, we should go back to nursing school. I think maybe we were talking because maybe we had worked at a doctor's office or something, and now we were working at the lab. And so then we decided we'll go back to nursing school. And so I started getting all my stuff together and doing it. And she was supposed to be doing that too, but then she didn't. But I got in and I started doing all the classes and stuff because the classes were hard. And I was doing them like while I was working, and science classes are fucking hard, especially at a school where, because they made them, they made it so hard there because they said it was nursing. They had to put out the best nursing students, and they were putting out like, I mean, that was the thing, but it was so fucking hard, and like our class started with 50 people and only 25 graduated. We lost people the whole way, and then some people would join back up, and then we lose them again, and so only 25 of the original people who started finished, and I was one of them, but but it was hard as fuck. It was very challenging. And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. But I was determined. I was determined at that point that I was going to, because I told him too. I said, it was I don't know at what point. It was definitely in the first year that I had said, I had told him before I ever started. I said, when I get done with school, if things haven't changed, I'm leaving. And there's no way I'm staying. And then I ended up leaving a year because I told him I was going to leave when I graduated, but I left the year before that. So I just couldn't take it anymore. And, but then we got back together. That's what I was going to say, is how many times I had left him, so many times. And then it would be the guilt. It would turn on the guilt. But see, the guilt's inside of me. And so when I start doing that, then those things are inside of me. Those are the things I've got to heal and purge, is these things that drive this guilt. Like, I put myself aside to make other people happy. I don't want to, have my kids come from a broken family. I can do better. It's got to, if I do this, if I just don't ask him how his day went, if I just drop to my knees and thank the Lord for him every moment of my day, then maybe things will be better. You just take on all this responsibility, which just eats you up more, because it isn't. You can't control somebody else's anger. You can't fix it. You could walk on eggshells all day long, which, I fucking spent years doing it. You can walk on all the eggshells you want. You cannot fix this person. This person has got their own set of broken. And if they don't want to fix it and they just want to lash out at everybody else, then you're just in their way. And so, when you do leave, you can't just listen to their pressure and their guilt. And it's hard. Like, I've gone before to shelters. I've gone before to go and do hiding. And it's hard. And so, I get it. And, when I think about it, it just makes me want to cry. It's just, it was very sad. Sad, hard time in my life. But the thing is when I look back on it, when I've gone past it, and I've gotten through it, and through one after another, too. That's the thing that gets me, is that, I would leave one, and then I would go right back into the same thing. And I would think, it would be funny because I would come up with these weird things, like when I went from 2 to 3, it was like, well, it's because he was older and we were different generations. And so he just didn't like my generation. And then the next one, he was the same generation. So I thought, oh, see, we have things in common. we'll have fun, which we did. We did have things in common and we did have fun. But he still had the same kind of personality defects as the other one. And the strange thing is so many men, so many women who have been with so many broken men can attest to mommy issues. Like, it's, I mean, they were also, there was a lot of dad ones too. There's a lot of guys who were beaten by dads and beaten by stepdads and stuff, but there was a lot of moms who weren't protecting them. And so there's a lot of issues. These guys have major, major issues, major trauma that they haven't dealt with. It has to do with either rejection and abandonment by mom, or abuse by dad and mom not protecting the son. And so it destroys these guys. And then the smallest little thing, they lash out at you. Every little thing triggers them. Everything is too much. And then their kids start becoming an issue because they were a kid. And then how dare their kid, do something kid-like they weren't allowed to. And so it does wash over into the rest of your family. Like, there's somebody putting out some kind of information saying that domestic violence is just towards the women and stuff. It's like, no, it's towards, like, I've seen it. I've seen it in lots of other things. I mean, a man will be triggered by a certain kid. And from what I understand, is the trigger comes from the same age where you felt abandoned, abused, or whatever. So wherever you feel that way, that when you start having an attitude towards your kid, it will show you that is, when your kid's doing something like you weren't allowed to do that, or something. There's just a thing that gets triggered. And so, and it's weird too, because there's also in a group, a family dynamic, where there's a kid that they will relate to too. So there's a lot of a dysfunctional relationship that comes from toxic environments and families. Like, we're not doing our kids any favors by staying in these toxic things, and we don't want them to have a broken family. And if we just do better, if I just had dinner cooked a little faster, if I just would have made the right thing, if I just wouldn't have looked at him like that, if I just mind my manners all the time, if I just never speak, never do anything, if I just a goddamn fucking robot, then he can be okay. And that's not the way it is. And I know that there's also, that this happens to men too. Men can get themselves in the same thing. Because there's a lot of really abusive women right now too. That just, beat the snot out of guys that wouldn't touch them because they feel. But all these different things are all different lessons. That's the thing. All of this is to teach us individual lessons. So any of the people who are in domestic violence situations currently, it's like their soul urging them to break free, to make a break for it, to see clearly, to understand things, to prioritize themselves, prioritize their health, to prioritize, loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're not going to let somebody treat you bad. It's when you don't love yourself, you let everybody treat you bad. Because you treat yourself so bad. You go in the daily mirror thing and talk shit to yourself, and then just go out and let everybody else talk shit to you too, because you hate yourself. And then when you have such strong hate towards yourself, you've got to really go in and try and figure out where it comes from and release it and let it go. As it comes back to feeling like a disappointment to your parents, which is it's literally like a natural step. But the thing is, it's like everything is sped up. Like, we shouldn't have, kids preparing to move out at 14 years old. We shouldn't be having them sleeping around at a young age in this country, in this society, in this environment. Because in some other countries, little girls that are 10 years old, 11 years old are excited to marry an old guy, because then it's like, but it's a different environment. Like, maybe they're, I don't even know. Like, it's not for me to figure out, like, that's a whole nother reality, a whole nother set of circumstances that those souls are learning from that, and it's not part of my lessons, and I don't know. It's like, it's hard to imagine. But in a community, in a society that I'm a part of, we need to be um, letting kids be kids. Let kids be kids, like, for as long as they can be kids. We shouldn't be just pushing people into becoming adults and get out there and be responsible and do what you're supposed to do. It's like, that's a part of the problem. What is the thing that is driving us? Well, be responsible. Get out of my hair. We'll go make a living. Be responsible, because then we also take it as a part of a reflection on us. Like, if our kid's doing good, well, then we must have done good. But sometimes kids are doing good because they're so driven and they're too scared to say that you failed them. So that can be a part of your illusion, part of your delusion. So just because your kid is, fully responsible and does everything for everybody, well, that's not, a positive thing, really, is that they're getting used and abused by other people, and they're not knowing their own value. That's the thing that we've failed so much on, is teaching our value. Like, we've shown the world, we've shown everybody that we don't have value, and we don't value each other. We don't value our kids. We don't value our pets. We don't, like, we are too focused on our own pain, our own fears, our own rejections. And so, that's why all this stuff, and especially there's so much. There's so much right now, because this is a transitional time. This is a time of change. This is a time when, we're going into this whole new developing era. And so, like, right now there is, like, there's lots of earthquakes, lots of what was that? Another thing too, because somebody who's in Southern California was just saying it seems eerily quiet. And because there are some cool sky videos I saw too. It was over by, like, Michigan or someplace. This big black ring showed up in the sky. People were calling and stuff. The news showed it. It was Tuesday. It was like a big black, like if you were smoking and you blew out a smoke ring. So it looks like a giant smoke ring up in the sky that's black. And then, of course, they put out a story. Well, we think maybe it could have been a fire or something. So then people started looking up. Well, there's no fire. So there's all sorts of shit going on in the sky, which this tripped me out. There was one, I saw a spaceship too, like the one with the colors going around and stuff, and people going out and seeing that. But this was weird because, like, you've seen a million pictures of yourself over time. How your face looks in a picture, and like where your things are set. You know what I mean? And so there was some sky photo. I'm not sure what he was showing, and it was really pretty. And yeah, there is some weird thing. There's lots of weird things, because I've seen them too, with these weird shadows up in the sky. Like, there's lots of that. But and this was a really colorful sky, and it was early in the morning. But there was a face, like, right in this one part. That's all I could see, is he was showing this. I was like, there's a face right there. So I'm trying to see the face, and I was like, that is my face. That's my motherfucking face. How's my face up in the clouds? I was like, that is fucking weird. And I sent it to somebody, and I don't know if she didn't see it or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe she does. I mean, you recognize your own face. I just, it's weird. Like, I will send it and see. Like, many of you guys notice it. Like, you guys look at my face all the time, I would imagine. I'm sitting here talking. But that's all I could see was my face in this cloud. And I was like, that is so trippy. And that goes with this, like, because I had just seen this, where this other thing, if there is just a certain amount of people down here learning themselves, like, I don't know, because it seems like there's billions of people. I don't know. I don't know. There's like weird shit, man. That tripped me out, especially because you start like, because you can sit there and think like, well, I'm so like I'm on this other thing, seeing things that other people aren't seeing. Like, why is that? And what is, what the fuck? I don't know. It's weird. That tripped me out. Like, where it was like, okay, so am I supposed to be here learning like I'm a god and the clouds are showing me myself, and I'm still trying to hold on to this world myself? Like, like I said, like everything is like all these different levels of understanding yourself. It's so weird. So, anyways, and I know I'm not seeing things. It was like exactly how, especially in a picture, like right here, those lights are up, but in a picture, my eyes are a lot more deep set. And so here, it just puts all this light. But if you see me out somewhere, my eyes are more deep set and I've got more cheek, I think, looking. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we all look different to ourselves than we do to other people. But the way that the eyes and the cheeks and the nose and the lips and stuff were in there, it looks exactly like my face with like my hair going just like that across here. I was like, that is so weird. So anyways, if anybody wants to see that video, I'll share it and tell me if you think it looks like me. I definitely could see my own face. And I just think it's weird. Like, if you go out and you look in the clouds and you see your own face, it's like, okay, this world is weird and it's full of magic, but what the fuck are you trying to show me? What are you trying to tell me? Like, because it trips me out on some of the things where people start saying everything is inside of you. Like, there's nothing really happening. There's nothing at all happening. It's all just in here. It's all just your own world inside of you. It's like, is that what, my world inside of me is trying to speak to me and tell me? Like, I don't know. I don't know. This is, I'm anxious for this flip to happen. I'm anxious for whatever's going to go down because it's going to show us our truth. And you can see it's already happening. Like, but see, then people are in deep denial. Like Blake, instead of becoming humble and calling herself out and saying that, she wants to do better as a human being, instead to just try and throw somebody else under the bus who everybody's loving. Like, I was loving this guy, and I don't even know who he was before. He's very handsome, but all these people are loving him now, and not liking her, and not liking Ryan. Like, this is definitely a falling fast kind of thing when they thought that they were, I guess, going to go out as the power couple or something, but now they're going to go fall down hard. It seems like they're doing that same thing with that Taylor and Travis too. That is going to be some kind of a fall from grace. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be falling from grace where they were elevated. And see, the fall is to show themselves, so they get an opportunity to heal, so they can get a good look at themselves. So when you go into denial and just start trying to throw, play hot potato, oh, it's your problem, and don't, make it somebody else's thing, throw the blame on somebody else instead of taking responsibility, you're not doing yourself any favor. It's like you're doing yourself an inservice, it's the negative. And so, but now I have disservice, insert stuck in my head, okay. So, but see, so now is when, everything is going to be revealed. And so this is why I said it's like people are putting this certain part of themselves out there, so then when it the lights come on, that is what they're going to see, this side of themselves. And then some, well, they're not seeing it coming. They're seeing this really hateful side of yourself, of being so disconnected and just so shallow. She just seems so shallow. So, what is that word? Kind of phony, kind of just phony, artificially kind of. But people who are like that too, that's also, an unhealed person. That's like putting on a mask. It's putting on like, oh, well, if I pretend like everything's great, then everything will be great. And it's, I don't know. There's just, because everybody's life is not just fucking great. And everybody has challenges. But why some people pretend like everything is perfect, I've never understood that. Not even as a child, I never understood that. I was like, you gotta, how do you pretend like there's not something wrong when there's something wrong? Like, so I don't know. These people just act like they're perfect, everything's perfect. It's, and then especially when you're getting thrown under the bus, then you just start saying, well, somebody else. Then when the lights come on, you're gonna see, like, not only am I selfish and shallow, but I'm also kind of vile, trying to get people to go against somebody else, take the light off me and shine it on somebody else. That's very abusive, It's like an abusive tactic. So, anyways, this is the time to really look at yourself. Like when the lights come on and they were showing her in this light, she could have handled it differently. Like I said, she could have really humbled herself and really tried to bring herself down to the level of the rest of us, but she has no interest. A lot of people get on that high ride, and they like looking down on everybody else. They don't want to be like the rest of us. They're better than us. And it's like, well, you're thinking you're better than the rest of us is going to put you into a type of isolation. So you're going to want to, get in touch with that human part of you. Because, you're here to have this human experience. And the human experience at this time is about us coming together in unity. And to me, it's like coming together in unity of seeing, it's kind of like seeing how we're similar, but also the things that we go through, to be compassionate towards each other and have empathy and not be judgmental. And so allowing people to learn and grow without us being hard on each other, like that's a big part of this development that we're going through, is this being more loving, being more kind, and understanding what this world is about. And so, choosing the other route to go, it's a lot more better to just, be real, be honest, work towards being authentic. And like I said yesterday, if you're not willing to see yourself, you can't be yourself. You can't, you're only half yourself. You have to be willing to look at these hard parts of yourself and to see, your own weaknesses, your own biases, your own ignorance, and be willing to look and understand. Like, man, she should really be doing a lot more about speaking. Like, I mean, she does have this opportunity. She could be pulling in some other people to speak about domestic violence and really trying to put that out there, of ways of support, leaving numbers, ways to get out, things that, she could do to help talk to the people, because it is very traumatic when you're trying to escape. You got to find somewhere to go. And there's domestic violence shelters around, but I'm sure that they're all being filled up. And it is scary when you have somebody who's going to come look for you who can't control their anger. And so, we've got to be compassionate to these people. Like, yeah, they've got themselves into a bind with a crazy person, but it's not like they did it on purpose. It's not like that they knew that was going to happen and they did it on purpose. No, it was their part of their life plan. Sitting there judging them and being hateful, that just shows that, we need to work on ourselves. That's, to me, the biggest thing is what you're being shown all the time. If you're judgmental and hateful and think you're better than other people, and you got things to work on. And that's what all this is about, is figuring out how to love yourself, how to love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's up to you. So anyways, I'll talk to you later.